punch of salt.
Punch?
Punch. Punch of salt.
Punch or pinch?
Punch. Not pinch. What I said pinch.
No, you said punch.
Sometimes you don't make no fucking sense, Donnie.
Two Movie Centre, a podcast that's all about two movies kicking the shit out of each other for no reason whatsoever. They're both drunk, they're having a fight. And this week's show, it's about Shouty Pacino movies, gangster movies. He's done quite a lot of gangster movies, I suppose, from The Godfather to Cars number 3. I don't know if there is even a Cars number 3, but yeah, it's Carlito's Way versus Donnie Brasco with it. So it's on one. I suppose just jump straight into it with the plots.
You may as well, I suppose.
On the Carlito's Way, based on the books Carlito's Way and After Hours by George Edwin Torres. Basically, it's about the character Carlito, who's a gangster, I suppose, an ex-gangster who's just after getting out of prison early due to a technicality, thanks to his
lawyer. Yeah, his
lawyer Sean Penn,
who was a real sort of your stereotypical shifty lawyer. Like.
Cokehead. Yeah, cokehead is just the thing. I suppose, I don't know. I can't really figure out if it's set in the 70s or the 80s. Well, I suppose maybe it's set in the. Because it never really states the year.
Could have been set in the 90s because it was released in the early 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, but there's a lot of disco in it, isn't there?
There's just a lot of disco nowadays, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, but there's a lot of coke. There's a lot of coke. But
yeah,
it's about him trying to stay on track. 1975 it is. Oh Lord, just put that into my brain there.
Yes, mentally pointing it out.
But he's trying to kind of stay on the straight and narrow and kind of he's really trying to save up money to go off so he can be a car salesman. Car rental out in Hawaii or some fucking Paradise Island or some shit like that.
Basically, he wants to retire to the Caribbean. That's what he wants to do.
Yeah, but of course he ends up getting caught up.
One last job.
Yeah, getting caught up and stuff. It's like his pride, I suppose.
And because his lawyer friend basically sort of. He feels like he owes him big time because he's the one got him out of prison, and he's like, oh, I owe him my life, he saved my life, and all the rest. So when
you don't know me, Gail, that's who I am. Hoo-ha.
Oh wow. I was like, I was in the room with Al Pacino.
That's my best Christopher Walken impersonation.
Very good. Yes, but that's basically the plot. It's like he's hoping to go straight and retire with the love of his life off to the Caribbean, but things get in the way and things go wrong for him.
It's just and I suppose at the heart of it is a love story as well with a woman that he used to see before, a dancer, and it's kind of because there's a large part, I forgot how large a role that actually plays, and it takes up a good part, I suppose, of the second act of the movie is all about their relationship. But yeah, that's Donnie Brasco is actually based on a true story
as well.
Yeah, well, the other thing is Carlito. Well, I suppose there's probably lots of Carlitos.
Yeah.
Or there has been lots of Carlitos. But
anyway, Donnie Brasco.
Donnie Brasco, yeah. It's really a Johnny Depp movie, but I think Al Pacino kind of steals it from underneath Johnny Depp, who plays...
titular Donnie Brasco.
Yeah, John Pistone, who's like... Donnie Brasco is his undercover name where he's trying to infiltrate the mafia. And he did like this.
Yeah, very successfully. There's
a ton of videos on YouTube. There's like loads of 3-hour fucking documentaries about it. This was really, really big. It basically brought down the mafia. Like it did. The film probably underplays the role that he actually had in bringing the mafia down. It's Pacino plays Lefty Rodriguez, and it Ruggiero. I don't fucking. We call him Lefty. In it, who ends up vouching for him, and he's like an old school gangster who's been in it. Now in the film, he gets killed. In real life, he survived. I I think he ended up going into witness protection as well and stuff. But I was looking at stuff on it, and people from the FBI were saying that it's 85% accurate, the film, to actual real events. What happened to Michael Madsen was in it as well, who's basically Michael Madsen. And Hesh is very good in it.
She is, I suppose, is the hard put upon wife, basically. She's, she's Joe Stone's wife. She's got the kids at home, and he goes missing for like 3 months at a time and can't tell her where he is. And
he ends up going deep under. He ends up getting caught up in it, and he's like, fucking, this guy could get... He buys into the lifestyle, and it is the thing as well, because like the character that Al Pacino plays, Lefty, and it's, I think, one of Pacino's good traits and things is Pacino is likeable and he's,
that's it. I mean, he's a gangster, but like he kind of takes on an almost fatherly figure to Donnie Brasco, kind of takes him under his wing and sort of lets him in and kind of into his own family life, where his own son is a kind of a recovering drug addict and he's suffering from cancer himself. He's got a lot of shit going on.
I got cancer in a brick.
Yeah. But, and I'm not sure laughing at cancer.
Character is like, fucking what? And he's like, I got cancer in a prick. They can put me in the fucking medical books because of that. And he's just like, what? He's a strange character in it.
Yeah.
I think he plays very much into Pacino's wheelhouse, the whole thing. And that's why you kind of you get the feeling for a lot of it that like maybe he's making up a lot of this shit. Maybe he's just like this underling that's a bit useless and.
Yeah, because he's like, he kind of, I'll vouch for you, and then he's not quite as high up as he kind of in the order of things as he likes to think he is,
But as well, you kind of don't think he's as dangerous as he is, and then it's like near the end when he starts killing people, you kind of go, wait, this guy's a fucking
this is stone cold. Yeah. But so I suppose comparing the two as regards plot, which is what you started off doing.
But plot and say plausibility, easily I'd give it to Donnie Brasco.
Yeah, well, considering plausibility, it actually happened.
It actually happened. Yeah, but as well, I just think the story of Donnie Brasco is actually, and as a film, say looking at it from a film kind of point of view, it flows a lot better. There is the arc there for all of them, really, and it's like they all go on their own separate journeys. Like Lefty kind of stays the same nearly, and he gets his heart broken, and even though he kind of knows that fucking Johnny Depp is an FBI agent at the end, he's still, and like he can't bring himself to kill him. Yeah. And he's just like, if you fucking turn out to be a rat, like I'm dead. It's not like they're going to kill me.
Yeah, high voucher kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's what's implied at the end of it. But like you have Michael Madsen's character who ends up rising through there and becomes like a boss in it. He turns into a fucking like a proper psychopath.
Proper psycho. Yeah, he was a psycho to start up and becomes more outrageous.
I think Johnny Depp is very good in it. I think Johnny Depp, it's fucking hit or miss what way you're going to get him with things. If he's in like Captain Jack Sparrow mode, or sometimes he can be in fucking a Tim Burton mode, I suppose. Yeah. Whereas
this is very I suppose proper Johnny Depp with the sort of the thoughtful kind of the weird poses and all that kind of his. Yeah,
he's very very good in it. Yeah. But it's I think I give it to Donnie Brasco hands down. Carlito's way. It's just been done, not that this hasn't been done that either.
It's been done. I enjoy Carlito's way, but I suppose there's more in Donnie Brasco that sort of would win it over slightly, I think.
There's more to now on to entertainment value and rewatchability.
Well, I used to have Carlito's Way on VHS. Exactly, going back, that's a long time ago now. So obviously I found it rewatchable and entertaining enough to actually buy the VHS. But Donnie Brasco is equally as entertaining.
Yeah, going on it this time around, looking at it, I would look at Donnie Brasco again this week. Yeah. I don't think I could bring myself to look at Carlito's Way ever again. Maybe I will at some point where it'll kind of go, but I don't know if it is a thing that just saw it too many times. But there was just something about it this time where you were the same, you were on your phone for a large part of it. I got to a point where it's just probably maybe going into the second act of it where I was like, this is fucking
enough.
kind of painful. Like,
I see, I suppose as well, it probably is a testament to Sean Penn's acting as well, but like his character is just so thoroughly unlikable and horrible. You're kind of like, oh, I actually can't stand to watch this dickhead.
That bit where he beats up Madonna. Oh no, that was real life. Oh yeah, let's not forget that.
Yes, exactly. But it probably is, as I said, a testament to his acting, because like you're really, really just like this character, and at every step you're kind of like, oh my god, don't do it.
It is, yeah. And it's kind of, if there's a nice, I suppose, twist on it where it's like the upstanding citizen is the one that's bringing the gangster down. The gangster is the one trying to go straight, and like, as he's trying to go straight, the lawyer is turned into a gangster. With it, but he always was a gangster, really.
That's
anyway,
it, yeah.
he's
It's just
like,
becoming clearer.
and cocaine.
And willing to turn on his friends at the drop of a hat, like,
For me, like, Carlito's Way is mostly about coke, but it just feels like it's over. I will get into it. The acting,
it's a bit overwrought, I suppose.
Yeah,
maybe,
the entertainment value, I just thought it was a bit corny and a bit fucking cheesy, some of the part, the story in particular, and even the music, where there's parts where it felt like it was nearly a parody and taking the piss.
Well, having said that, they had a fucking great chase scene towards the end. I mean, like, that was very, very tense. It's the whole Willie won't he make it to the train station in time to escape with the love of his life, and all the bad gangsters are chasing him down, and it's hopping on subways and in and out of train stations, up and down stairs, and it is actually quite a tense, sort of a chase scene, I suppose. So I found that particular part of it to be very entertaining.
Yeah, but that's where, with De Palma, I think I was like, De Palma's a fantastic director, but for me, rewatching this, for I don't know how many times it was, but it's like he threw in little bits and pieces from a lot of different movies that he was after doing, and it just didn't meld. It felt cheesy with it, especially like some of the party scenes. It was like people were overacting. Yeah, and then the whole, I know Gail, the girlfriend, was a dancer, but like there was too much of like this whole dancing fucking bullshit. I don't know, it felt like it was going to turn into Saturday Night Fever. There was one bit, I think either in a nightclub or maybe, no, I think it was at Sean Penn's house when he was having a thing, and there was people dancing around, and it was like they were really coked out of their fucking head. But that's why rewatching it just felt like everyone's on coke in this, which they probably were meant to be, like obviously characters there.
Yes.
But I really didn't find it entertaining. The second act for me just bogs it fucking down. So you got really, really good start to it. The middle of it, fucking kind dreadful, I think. Yeah. And then the end,
you got the really good chasing and all the rest.
But as well, a lot of that is around Sean Penn's character. I didn't get to the point where with Carlito, again, even looking at it this time around, where like wanted him to get away, when I knew he wasn't going to get away anyway. But it was just, I don't know. It's just, it felt like Pacino was phoning it fucking in it as well. When you're after looking at, say, something like Donnie Brasco, and you see what Pacino can do. Yeah. And Donnie Brasco just far more entertaining, I thought. It was funny.
Yeah.
The action in it was very, very good. The story, it's just so rewatchable. Like, there's a lot going on in it. And it doesn't bog down too much. Like, I mean, Johnny Depp's family life is an important role in it, but it doesn't bog down too much.
It just kind of hints back to it every now and again, but it's not like overwrought again, I suppose, in that. But I suppose I'd agree with you on that.
So I'd definitely give it to Donnie Brasco. Yeah. So that's fuck you, Carlito.
Hey.
But it's not as if I have it's fucking vengeance against Carlito Brigante.
Yes. But the theme, I suppose. The theme, identity and the depth.
Yeah. So what would you? It's supposed to redemption, isn't it?
I suppose. I mean, like, he's trying to go straight and he's trying to do the right thing, and like at the end as well, that sort of the double twist again is not only is this his lawyer who's supposed to be his friend, not only is he a psychopath who's willing to kill at the drop of a hat, he'll also happily turn Carlito in himself as well. He's just a scumbag. Yeah, absolutely. He actually reminds me a bit of what's his face at the start of Die Hard. Oh, what's his name? Chap in the beard.
Oh yeah, I know who you're on about. Yeah.
But it's that kind of. Was it? I don't know. Ethan. That was it, wasn't it? Yeah, another cokehead that basically will turn all his friends and say anything just to kind of get ahead in life, But anyway, sorry, that was a bit of a ramble.
but I think it's about fucking redemption and I suppose destiny, where there's a lot of things where he's like, oh, I always knew I'd end up here, like, you know,
Yeah,
it's never going to have
actually,
it.
I suppose it's the typical. The film starts off with him, like, you know, sort of lying on the floor, slowly dying, and it's like then it's like back to the start and retrace your steps where he ends up back again on the floor, with the life slowly leaking out of him, kind of a thing, you know.
So it's like it's not something that hasn't been done before. It's like
It's not particularly deep, I suppose.
it's like an old school gangster movie, and that's where I got with part of the thing why I didn't find it too interesting, because it seemed like he was nearly trying to pay homage, maybe after doing the Untouchables and stuff, where he was trying to bring in some of these old gangster movies, but it wasn't like nearly obvious enough that he was doing that, and it just felt a bit cheesy. With it, you know, and especially for the type of film that it was, where it's like, it's, you know, it's meant to be this like fucking kind of hip, dangerous gangster that was like this assassin that people were feared, and they were saying, oh, this guy was basically like the kingpin of cocaine, that he was like did stuff, but you never get that vibe from him. You kind of feels nearly harmless.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. You might look it up for me there before I start spewing it out, but Al Pacino, I think, would have been around the height of his career at that stage, his acting abilities and stuff, because I think that was around the time Scent of Woman as well might have come out in 92.
I will. You keep talking, and I will look that up.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's sort of it should have been a thing that he should have been well sort of in his on fire. In his roles and stuff like that, because Scent of Woman was fucking fantastic, like. So I was kind of thinking it was around the same time. He should have been really on form for this film. Now Al Pacino, again, as always, he is quite good. He carries the whole film basically by himself, but the actual film itself, I suppose, fell a little bit flat. It was just a little bit, as you said, I think just a small bit. Scent of a Woman is 92, so coming off the back of Scent of a Woman, which was like, you know, a sort of Academy Award winning film and all the rest, and then into Carlito's, which was, you would think he would be really riding high in the pinnacle of his sort of acting abilities and stuff there.
But and say Donnie Brasco. I keep going to say Donnie Darko. Donnie Brasco with the theme of that. I suppose it's more about friendship and kind of losing your sense
It is
of identity.
trust and building family and stuff like that, and like, I mean, you have the whole thing of like Donnie Brasco is losing his own family because he's sort of living this split identity life, and you see from the other side then as well, Lefty is slowly losing his family because his son is just, you know, kind of falling back into addiction again. You know, it's just all of this, and of course then there's a family of the mob and the gang.
And Donnie Brasco and Lefty basically become family. Like that's the whole thing, that like Lefty keeps having them around. They're you know, and then it's like Lefty feels betrayed because like obviously
of course, fucking stabbed in the back.
Well, even other than before that, when like he thinks that Donnie is kind of like moving up through the ranks or getting in with the wrong people, and I think he nearly wants to stop him from getting involved with the more dangerous kind of characters, because he's like, look, you're fucking in with these people.
This is getting to be too serious, kind of thing.
Because there's a whole thing at the start where he's like, look, I'm going to introduce you, I'm going to say you're a friend of mine, whereas if I had said that you're a friend of ours, it'd mean that you're a made man. And then there's a bit in it where Michael Madsen introduces him as like, this is a friend of ours, and Al Pacino's kind of looking on, and he's kind of like,
oh god, exactly. So I suppose a little bit of jealousy and a little bit of, I suppose, worry as well. He kind of, again, fine acting by fucking Pacino, because it's that whole blend of like, he's a little bit jealous, but also a little bit worried, you know what I mean? He's worried for his safety, but it's kind of like, I've been passed over, like, and this guy that comes in, he just fucking rises up, and what have I been doing? I've been slogging away all these years. But I suppose, do we really want to go 3 for 3 at this stage?
Well, kind of when you go into
I suppose.
I think so. I think there was way more depth in Donnie Brasco. When you're talking about the team, that there's much more that you can look into it. There's much more going on between the whole things. Like even like you could do a thing with Michael Madsen's character, just the changes with him, and it is kind of nearly a thing of being careful what you wish for. Yeah. Because when he becomes, and he's like, he freaks out when he's like, yo, you fucking losers, like, you know, I'm a fucking boss, I have to have like 60 grand or 50 grand by the end of the month to kick up, and what are you doing? You're out fucking robbing and parking meters
basically trying to make money.
And it's this whole thing where they get into, where I just never would have really thought, where nearly, it really makes them look like they're like nearly working men or something that, you know, but it's like they have to have a certain amount of money, but because there's so many different mobsters in New York, it's like the scene is oversaturated, which I suppose is one of the reasons why they want to move into Florida and kind of get a foothold down there. But I think Donnie Brasco. Not that, like, I don't think there's any kind of, like hidden or like fucking occult themes, kind of like, you know, kind of with like either one of them. They're fairly straightforward movies.
Yeah.
Now it goes acting, so it's Pacino against Pacino.
Well, it's you have the supporting characters or the other, I suppose, equally highly billed characters and all the rest. As I said, Sean Penn is one of the reasons why Carlito's Way is kind of uncomfortable watching, because he plays such an obnoxious fucking dickhead.
He's just, even from the start of it, even where the judge, because, you know, it's like he's getting this guy, as much as you know about Carlito at the start of it, is that, look, he's in prison for 30 years because he's an assassin and a drug dealer, very dangerous person. And like
yet he comes off sympathetic, whereas the lawyer just seems like an absolute fucking shitbag.
That's the thing where it's like Carlito has morals.
Yeah, he has his code of ethics, I suppose, that he, you know, well, he's my friend and I owe him and I can't betray him.
Well, that's the whole thing through it, is like he does have his code and stuff where the fucking, what was it, Sean Penn says it near the end, to kind of like, look, there's only one rule in fucking the jungle where it's look after yourself and that's it. Fuck everyone else. When it show, and as well at the start where Carlito, when he's walking through the old neighbourhood and Louis Goodman's character is saying to him, is it Goodman? I can't remember, but second, saying to him, look, these young people, they're fucking savages, they kill you, you know, they have no morality, there's no kind of respect.
Yeah, and then at the end, who was it?
With Benny Blanco from the Bronx.
Yeah, remember me?
Yeah.
But but I mean, like, the acting in general, like, even what's her name, man? No, fucking, I'm thinking the other one. Who was the? Gail,
I don't know. I don't think she was really a big.
No, she was kind of up and down the whole way through, and so far as she is very believable as like the long suffering sort of, like, she really believed in him, she really loved him, she wanted to kind of have the life with him, but at the same point she came across a little bit fucking psychotic as well.
Her acting was fairly bad.
Yeah, like I mean, that whole thing of like where he came over to her house and she's like, you got to break down the chain to come in and chase me around the apartment, and I was just like sitting there really creeped out. Just, that was very squeaky, and it was like, blech.
Yeah, I don't know, even the acting was very flat in it with like a lot of people. Pacino really felt like he was just
kind of running through the steps, I suppose. Yeah.
And it's even the thing from the, like I was saying there, from the way that they were trying to portray Carlito as like this really, really dangerous part. I know he kind of changes and he's like a different person now, but you don't get that vibe off him at all, that he's like this fucking like, there's parts of it come out of him when he gets, like, the ego gets to him and he meets the younger gangster, like, and he's like, no, I'm fucking, you're fucking nobody. Like the brother in fucking Sing Street. Like, you're just caught in my jet stream.
Yeah, you're riding my coattails. But I suppose looking at Donnie Brasco then again, I mean, as I said, it is Pacino against Pacino, and it's a character with a lot more depth to it and a lot more nuance, I think.
Yeah.
And there's all these different sides to him as well. He has like sort of the gangster front, and he has the family man, and you know, he has all these, and
there's the initial thing, he comes across as being a bit of a bumbling idiot. And then you kind of see that, wait, no, there's a lot more to this guy. He's like, he's very, very fucking street. He knows what's going on, and he's had a hard life. He's fucking given his life over to these gangsters.
For not an awful lot of reward either as well.
He's never has any fucking money. Things, it's not like, you know, when you look at fucking like Goodfellas or anything like that, where they're rich, it's like he's got fucking nothing. Like, even for Christmas, where he gives them, like, I think fucking Johnny Depp's character gives him a couple of $100 in a card, and Carlito gives him like $50, and then he like asks for it back.
Can I have some money? Can I have a loan? Can you front me? Kind of a thing. But like, I mean, I actually think
Carlito fucking,
yes. But there's a bigger cast as well within Donnie Brasco, and I think everyone actually is on point. Like, I mean, you have sort of the cops that are supporting him, you know, sort of when he's undercover, and you know, I can't think of his name now. Chap with the curly hair, bald. I don't know. It'll come to me at some stage, but they're very believable as having like their sort of amiable kind of like chats between themselves when they're listening to the tapes and all the rest.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Paul Giamatti.
There you go.
Giamatti, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, but I mean, there's all these different characters that are kind of, they're fully fleshed out, and you can kind of see them living their lives.
You know who they are nearly.
Exactly, that's it. Yeah, with the way they're portrayed, and like, I mean, Michael Madsen is, you know, another complex character as well.
Yeah, but like Pacino is just plays it so much better. Like with Lefty, I think there's so many different layers, whereas Carlito is just one.
Yeah, kind of one note, I suppose. Yeah,
and as well, it's nearly even the voiceover in Carlito's Way feels like a bit cheesy.
And yeah, well, it is a bit because like it is really that like, oh, are you wondering how I got here? Record scratch kind of a thing. Let's go back and find out. And it gets a little bit. I think it's deeper than it is. I think. Yeah.
But like, I mean, Johnny Depp as well. So, like we were saying, Johnny Depp. I think it's one of Johnny Depp's best roles.
Absolutely, like he's so believable. Like, I mean, because it's. Obviously, I don't know because I've never been undercover, but like from what I understand,
Really?
but like I mean,
Sure.
yeah, no,
I thought you might be.
the whole nervousness, I suppose, that you're basically you're a whole new person, but you have to be so careful about what you say, what you do, you know, all of this kind of stuff because you know your cover is blown, you're fucked basically. So you're taking on all these new mannerisms and all the rest, and then you know, sort of somebody from your old life bumbles up and says hello, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, what do I do here? And it's like, oh, he touched my dick,
Well, even the whole thing where how much he actually liked Lefty and he wanted him to get out of it. Where he had 300,000 that he could have essentially stole. No one would have been any the wiser. Thought that it was gone. And he was going to give it to Lefty to buy a boat and to fuck off.
Yeah, get out of it.
And when he was talking to him and when Lefty was no, sure, kind of like, I just have to stay here. Like, this is all that I know.
This
you
is
know?
my life, yeah.
Yeah. That, you know,
yeah.
there's a lot of kind of, I think the chemistry between
there's
them
touching
was
moments, yeah.
Whereas like there was no chemistry between any of them in like even from the start, even no matter how good Sean Penn's character is, he just always he was just a shit, like, you know, that he was just.
And it is, and you do kind of like, I mean, even halfway through the film, you're questioning what the fuck is up with fucking Carlito that he doesn't see through this, and he's still blindly fucking staying friends with this absolute.
For this like genius drug dealer, he comes across as a fucking fool. With things, and this guy who's meant to be really calm and in control, and then he fucks up with your man Benny Blanc. Instead of just like sitting down and kind of, it's just there's a lot of things that don't make any sense in it. But that's
I know. I'm like, as I said, it's just there's so many supporting characters in the other one that do a great job. Like when you're the club owner down in Florida and everything, with how fucking nervous and sweaty, and you know, like, oh no, I'm fucked up and I never paid off the. You know, it's all the characters I think got their moment to shine as well, and you knew exactly who they were. So oh my god,
acting, it goes.
We're sweeping the board so far with Donnie Brasco. My god.
And dialogue, storytelling. I think, like, I mean, if it's not clear, it's probably going to be Donnie, unless there's some fucking kind of miracle. But we keep going. We see how badly Donnie Brasco can beat Carlito's way into the ground.
And as we keep saying, it's not that Carlito's Way is a bad film. It's just that Donnie Brasco is much better so far. Anyway. Yeah,
like, I mean, it is seen, and there's a lot of people, when you look up about Carlito's Way, it's like a lot of people saying, like, forgotten masterpiece. And now I think that's a bit strong. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I don't think it's even close to
it's a good film.
But it's a good film, yeah. Especially if you've never seen it before, it's definitely worth watching. But dialogue, storytelling concept, quite obviously I'm going to say Donnie Brasco. I think the storytelling is done much, but it's just paced. I'll be cutting into the editing later on, but there's just a story. I think it's more relatable, even the story, and like that's weird. It shouldn't be that it's more relatable about an FBI undercover agent infiltrating the mafia in the fucking 70s in New York. But Carlito's Way does not feel relatable, where it should feel relatable about someone wanting to change. Yeah,
and just finally get out and retire away to a nice, comfortable life, you know?
Because there's loads of movies that they do, like fucking, it's a trope in movies where it's like, oh, the hitman or fucking whatever, the bank robber wanting to get out.
Job,
and they all have a heart and they're all looking for a bit of redemption and stuff.
But I mean, the dialogue, like, as I said, it's kind of borderline hokey as well. Like I think it thinks it's deeper than it is, and there's some nice lines that'll make you think about the whole sort of like destiny and all of that kind of stuff, and really kind of person change and their honor code and all the rest. But then it's said in a little bit of an over-egged way, and you're just like, it takes you out of the moment, and you're like, oh, it's a bit cheesy.
But as well, it's the whole thing with it is he is after changing as a person. He is totally after changing as a person, if what's to be believed. But it's just the environment hasn't changed, and he's a victim of the environment around him. So that's where he's like trying to get out, and the environment eventually. Well, it's actually his pride that kills him at the end, because it's like Benny Blanco shows up and he's like, oh, remember me, and he shoots him. Like, just that didn't feel like, how did he, you know,
how did he suddenly find him just at that particular
when there's loads of police around as well. I don't think it's just, and especially like Luz Goodman's character didn't act like he was going to be he didn't know that he was getting away for good. He thought that they were just going away for a weekend. So why would he have him like arrange for him to get like killed just at that? You know, and as well, because like you were saying, that chase scene. But as well, the chase scene kind of nearly mimics some of the stuff out of the Untouchables.
Yeah.
Like with the train station.
Yeah, just up and down the escalators and all that kind of stuff, yeah. I suppose from a dialogue point of view, the one thing that throws Carlito's way entirely out of contention for me is that scene where he goes over to her house and she's like, you have to break down.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, even when that happened when we were watching the film, I was like, this is fucking bullshit. There's no woman who'd ever say that. There's no man to be like, oh God, I must get in and fucking chase you around the apartment then.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, it's just like trying to be like more sort of, I don't know, sexual than it is or something like
I think they had the wrong actress in it as well, because the whole thing that she's a stripper as well, and he's like, oh, I don't, you know, and it just doesn't fit, the way that she plays, it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know who you get to do, but like, you know, not her. She was just very weak in it. I know you want to have that contrast between the two of them. I think I might have read somewhere that she might have been involved with someone at the time, that they really wanted to have her in there, it, where you kind of go,
you can kind of see why. But I mean, even again from a dialogue point of view, it's sort of the transition between Donnie Brasco as Donnie Brasco and as himself at home and all the rest, and you can kind of see he's like different accents, different sort of mannerisms and all the rest, and they get closer and closer the deeper he gets and the more he becomes Donnie Brasco and the less he is family man. And you can see, like, I mean, that kind of dialogue, that doesn't, you know, that's something sparkling there.
Yeah, it's just Donnie, but Donnie Brasco is so much funnier as well. Carlito's way is funny unintentionally. With it, which it shouldn't be, but it just is. So yeah, it's Donnie Brasco.
Yeah.
Again, kind of like on it. Cinematography. Now, by all rights, you think this? Actually, I think probably Carlito's way.
That's what I was going to say. I know I keep harping on about the chase scene at the end, but that was a very tense, and it was so well shot as well. It's the whole thing of, you know, jumping on the train, and then it's the whole sort of the hard pounding panic of going through all the train carriages, and, you know, the usual stuff, like in and out of train stations and up and down escalators, and oh my God, somebody's going to see him kind of a thing.
Well,
you know?
it's just the whole look of the film. I think it captures the 70s, the 70s in that era.
It seems very nice, as in sort of the actual film quality itself. It's got this real soft sheen to it, kind of a thing. You know?
That's what it reminds me a lot of the Untouchables. You know, the way there's that thing nearly where it's like nearly a white highlight on stuff, but where it is like nearly a throwback to the golden age of Hollywood.
And does it, like, I mean, even I know this sounds a bit weird, but like there's a lot of very rich tones. You know, it seems like it's proper film it was shot on, whereas Donnie Brasco is a little bit more harsh, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be documentary style, and it's point of view. Well, not point of view, but like there is meant to be that grit there too, which is definitely there. But it's I think the cinematography is better in Carlito's way as well. I think with Donnie Brasco as well, because Donnie Brasco is based on a true story as well. You can't really have a lot of, say, analogies going on there, or kind of like, you know, representations where, like, at first in Donnie Brasco it's like, what's the thing with the boats? And it's like, because their boats play a big role in it, but it's not like a thing where it's like this fucking a metaphor. It doesn't represent it. It's just, this is what happened with it.
Exactly.
Whereas like in Carlito's way, it's like, you know, Paradise Island represents like, you know, new life for him. You know, it's that whole kind of shit, kind of like, but it's just that it's a bit cliched. With even at the bit at the end where he's looking up and the poster comes to life, and it's like her dancing on the beach. Yeah,
that's really schmaltzy and tacky.
And as well that she's pregnant as well. You know, it's like, oh God, like,
it's very sort of rom-com ending. But I mean, from the wardrobe point of view as well, if we're kind of getting into that, I do think Carlito's way probably wins it out a little bit there as well. Just as I keep harking back to Sean Penn, he looks like a cokehead lawyer. It's just everything he wears. It's all those tacky fucking 70s wide lapel suits, you know, sort of kind of showy for the sake of being showy and all that kind of stuff.
Well, as well, it's meant to be kind of, I suppose, the Latina kind of point of view in the 70s, kind of where it's a bit brighter and there's a bit more. I don't know, like a Donnie Brasco, like we were saying last week about Taxi Driver, or the week before, or whatever it was. The Taxi Driver is like gritty, horrible New York, whereas this is like LA, I think, is it? In like Carlito's way, and Donnie Brasco's obviously New York, and Donnie Brasco's New York feels like New York because it's just
New
gritty.
York.
Yeah,
Well, he said it even New York.
but it looks like, you know, and even the way that it's meant to be cold and miserable.
Yeah.
That's why they all want to go to Florida to get away from
to
fucking
get some
cold.
sunshine, like, yeah.
And then in Carlito's way, you know, there's like, I will give it that there's life to it.
Yeah.
It feels alive. So I suppose cinematography,
Carlito's way, I think, wins
Carlito's
out
way.
on that, yeah.
Editing for the pace and effects. I think say pace wise, I think Donnie Brasco is just paced an awful lot better.
Yeah, as you said, I think it does fall kind of a bit flat or slow in the kind of the mid part of the film, really, I suppose, because it's kind of like, oh, this is all going on. Then it's like, oh, we're going to get into like, oh. Now, of course, this is just us being biased, I suppose, because I'm not one for a love story or anything like that for the most part. I'm like,
but it's not even a good love story. You know, it's very kind of, and even
know,
like
it's
he
like
stalks her
grown
at the start, and he's like, he climbs up a fucking building to kind of like
Or is
stare
he
across,
Batman,
like, you know, in the rain, looking up. It's just very. I don't know. I can appreciate. Say it was 90s, so that was like fucking 30 years ago now, and so there would have been a bit of it like. I don't know, kind of like, you know, say having it as a throwback. There's a lot of films that were trying to do throwbacks to the 50s and to those old gangsters. Even like Home Alone did it to a certain extent. So I can see where he was probably trying to go with it, but it just, I don't know. The second part of it just lets it down.
Yeah, it did fall a bit flat.
I don't think he needed to focus as much on her character as they did, and the whole. I don't know, because there was a lot more interesting things going on there.
Yeah.
When it does get back to the whole thing with like Sean Penn's lawyer. And I suppose the whole, you don't really kind of think that he's going to be the downfall of him. It's hard kind of because we've seen it so many times that you know where it's going. Like if you're looking at it from the start, you kind of think, oh right, he's going to get caught, and especially because he ends up killing these guys.
And the thing is, that's what I was going to say as well. Like fucking killing the guys on the boat, it just happens very quickly, and I think they could have just done an awful lot more with that as well. Yeah. You know, pace wise.
That was shot very badly. As
yeah,
well.
It
Looked like it was on a sound stage.
Yeah, it happened, and they're killed, and oh my god, and now I'm going to shout about it. But like, I mean, that could have been a lot more. Not drawn out, but there could have been more made of it, really. I suppose.
You know, the first action scene when he goes with his cousin to buy the drugs, your man is like, oh, just come with me, kind of like when we buy the drugs. That's a very good action scene. But what was I going to say? That kind of like, if they had more of that in it, and it's not like wanting the fucking film to be The Matrix, or anything, but. You know, you kind of think that's going to be the thing that's going to bite him in the ass. It kind of
flags and kind of slows down a bit then.
Yeah, where it's like that plays absolutely nowhere into the film other than he gets enough money to put into the nightclub, and then he just goes into the nightclub, and it's just like, well, you know, where it's.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but no, I do think editing would probably have to go to Donnie Brasco.
Yeah. So. There, Donnie Brasco's after officially beaten.
Yeah, but I suppose we may as well go through the last three categories anyway, just to kind of...
Soundtrack. Sound design and film score. I think neither one of them are great, being honest with the soundtrack. Like, I think the two of them nearly had the same fucking sound. They had the same intro with it, whereas I thought nearly
the same visually, like, going into it. It
was fucking identical, to the point where when you're looking at them, you kind of go...
Which one am I watching?
Someone taking a fucking piss.
Yeah.
With it, but soundtrack, I suppose maybe Carlito's way probably like.
Well, I suppose that's what I was going to say. I actually can't remember much from Donnie Brasco. I can remember a few bits from Carlito's way. Now, it mightn't necessarily be. Again, to my taste, like say at the end when like the poster turns into her dancing on the beach and all the rest, and it plays out, that's the outro kind of thing. But it's memorable, you know. It's not music I like, but it is memorable, and it fits the.
Music is more of a thing as well with Carlito's, which it's bound to be, because like they're trying to, it's set in a fucking disco for most.
Yeah, exactly, and he has a nightclub. Like, exactly. Yeah.
Where you know it's not really a thing. The other
Donnie Brasco, but
just purely because it's set in
there is actually more there, I think.
And just try and be nice. Now, directing, vision and execution. I do think it's probably one of Brian De Palma's weakest films. A lot of people are like, oh fucking, and as well because I think some people shit on it when it came out, but not many. And now they're after since kind of retracting it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I suppose after enough time people kind of go, how can you say that about Brian De Palma? Like, he's a genius.
Yeah.
And it's like, look.
Mightn't have been a genius back then, though.
Yeah. Whereas, I don't know. Like, I mean, I think I'm the same with, like, I think, fucking, what's its name? Scarface is a bit overrated as well. Although I do like it. But I just don't think it's great. You know, it's not something. I must go back and rewatch it at some stage. But I don't know. And as well, like, I mean, the guy that directed, I mean, fucking terrible for saying it as well. Mike Newell is the guy that directed Donnie Brasco.
And so weird as well, because his Four Weddings and a Funeral, which is so totally different. Like, so he has a good range, like, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's it. You would not associate him with doing Donnie Brasco, or you think that maybe he's someone who's going to potentially fuck up something like that. Whereas with Brian De Palma doing Carlito's Way,
should have been a shoe-in, yeah.
Surely, like, I mean, why? Whereas I don't know. Now I do think that there's more stylistic stuff going on with it, but like what we were saying with, like, if they, although then again they do, you know, like Oliver Stone does it the whole time, I suppose, but that's like Oliver Stone.
Yeah. No, it's just, I think Carlito's Way was maybe too much of a heavy touch, whereas the other Donnie Brasco, I think, was just a nice light touch, kept everything tapping along, and that's what
I think it fitted the movie. Now, like, the whole thing, Carlito's Way, I think if Scorsese did it, he would have, like, you could imagine the fucking the pace and
the tension and everything
that would have been in it, and even like the role that the music would have played in the nightclub in it.
Yeah, God, yeah, it would have been a soundtrack in itself.
Yeah,
like,
whereas Carlito's Way feels like a knockoff, a bad knockoff of a Scorsese movie.
Yeah, tell us what you really think.
But like, I mean, you can't, like, Donnie Brasco. Although Donnie Brasco, I think, is very underrated, because you don't really hear too many people talking about Donnie Brasco.
A lot of people are raving about it, kind of go, oh, it's fucking fantastic.
It's not put down as like, I mean, it's got great scores on things, and people always highly review, but it's not put down as one of the classics, whereas it kind of should.
Yeah.
I think for a long time as well, I think history's after changing. A lot of people have changed their opinion of Johnny Depp, but at the stage when Johnny Depp was in this, even though he was in everything, it was like with Keanu Reeves, people were like, he can't fucking act.
Yeah.
Where it's like, quite honestly, he can act.
Yeah, I mean, that was fantastic from him, like, you know.
Yeah, it's just that I think he got reputed because he did a lot of Tim Burton movies at the start, and as well he came from TV. People were like, oh, you can't, you know, and it's because he was so young when he started off. With it, but
So Mike Newell is winning it out for Donnie Brasco?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Directing, and our last one, The It Factor, one of a kind in front. Like, I mean, obviously I got to go with Donnie Brasco.
As much as I hate to diss Carlito's Way, I'm going to have to go with you as well. Donnie Brasco is just that bit stronger, I think.
It is. I think it's after standing the test of time better. Carlito's Way, I think, is aged very poorly. From, like, at the time, I think, because it would have been before Tarantino. Really, like, Tarantino really killed
Yeah, Reservoir Dogs, I think, was 91, but it didn't really become a big thing, I think, until maybe 94-ish here in Ireland.
Well, it was Pulp Fiction that kind of made Tarantino super popular, kind of like, you know, a household name. Reservoir Dogs was...
Yeah, that was still a very it was banned in Ireland, and I had to go and see it in an art house cinema because they got special dispensation to see it, but like, oh my god.
We had some shitty VHS copy that someone was after getting, you know, that was like pirated. But like, Tarantino really changed and introduced people to a lot of older films that they would have forgotten about. Whereas, like, when people would have taught the gangster films from that, would have been like, say, The Godfather, obviously, but like, it would have been shitty kind of like 1930s, 40s black and white gangster movies. Yeah. Where it's like, hey, see, kind of see. But then Tarantino came on, then people like went back looking at a lot of stuff in the 70s and the 60s.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is actually cool.
Yeah, and foreign movies as well that they wouldn't have been aware of beforehand. Where I think Donnie Brasco, definitely with the It Factor.
It's been a bit of a hammering, unfortunately, for Carlito's Way. It's only gotten 2 out of 10.
This has been a lot shorter than normal. It's just the thing, sometimes you can't drag the arse out of things.
No, that's it, It's just like, well, you know, it's obviously one of them is going to win out. And it's more obvious in this case than it would be in other films we've been kind of putting up against one another.
Now, I have to say, before we looked at it, because I always liked Carlito's Way. I had it in my head, alright, Donnie Brasco. It was nearly up there as like a straight to video thing. It's not going to be.
Well, that's because
but,
I would have seen Carlito's Way in the cinema. I wouldn't have seen Donnie Brasco in the cinema.
Yeah. But you know, before I was looking at it, I was thought Carlito's Way is going to hammer the shit out, or at least it'll be close.
Yeah.
And I didn't just rewatch them. Now, like I was saying at the start, it could be a thing because we've seen these films. We've seen Carlito's Way an awful lot of times, but being critical of it, I just don't think it's as good a movie.
Yeah, it might have been a different story if you were doing this back in the 90s, because it could have been like, oh, fucking Carlito's Way is fantastic. But I suppose it's just with the distance of time and everything, it hasn't stood up as well, I don't think.
I think as well as being exposed to different cinema as well over like 30 years. You reach a point, like I remember there was another podcast that we did where we did The Untouchables, and I used to fucking love The Untouchables. I had the video game of it when it came out, but The Untouchables, it's hard looking back on it to realise how much of a big like there was an event it was when it came out. People were really excited because The Untouchables was a TV show that a lot of people that would have been like obviously older at that stage were big into, but it was repeated a lot on TV even though it was an old TV show. So you had, and Elliot Ness was a big fucking character, and Al Capone, you know, they were all there, and Robert De Niro was in it. But when we went back looking at that for our podcast, probably a couple of years ago now, I remember looking at it kind of going, this is aged very badly. Like, and it was a film that I still think it's a good movie, but it's just a bit corny.
Yeah, which unfortunately I think Carlito's Way ended up being as well.
So yeah, there's not much, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, so I suppose to decide for yourself, go and see both of them, go get them on Netflix.
Like we keep saying with things, we're not going to keep fucking repeating it. Like they're both good movies. It's not like Carlito's Way is terrible. It's just, and I do think it is a thing that we've seen it too many times.
Maybe
I think that there is a thing sometimes with some films. Like if it was the first time seeing Carlito's Way, I don't think it'd be
contempt. Is it?
Be as, but not even that. I don't think you'd be as critical because you'd be too busy paying attention to the story.
Yeah.
Then kind of
I suppose when you're so familiar with it, you have more time to sit back and actually kind of go, the lighting, the sound, this, I don't, you know, the
and as well, it could be a thing sometimes you just get in fucking the wrong frame of mind for certain films, and you start looking at it and you kind of go, I'm not really into this fucking at the moment. But now saying that, I've never been like that with Evil Dead.
We're never going to be able to do Evil Dead against something else.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I've been thinking about kind of like whether we should do Lost Boys versus something. And I don't, no matter what Lost Boys goes up against, even in my head, if I know the other one is a better movie, I'll always be like, no, the Lost Boys.
We should put Lost Boys up against Evil Dead, and then you can see which of your fucking children you can kill.
No. It'd be Sophie's Choice.
Yes, exactly.
That fucking bitch knew nothing.
You didn't know the
But, you know, so that's kind of like, we're going forward, we have to be careful with picking certain films that we're not going to have too much of a bias towards
one or the other.
Would it, because like it would be just a thing. That's where this one I thought was interesting because it really didn't have a bias. Well, actually, I had more of a bias towards Carlito's Way going into it.
But I suppose the upshot is go and watch Scent of a Woman.
I've never seen it, and I never will. Hoo-ha! But yeah, look, thank you for listening. So we're not really on social media, so there's no point giving. We give out social media. Go and follow us on J762_32 on all the platforms.
On
Tumblr, but yeah, look, thank you for listening. Like saying, if you have any suggestions for movies that you'd like to see facing off against each other, leave a comment below or somewhere. And unless it's fucking totally and utterly ridiculous, or it's a Lost Boys. Like if it's a Lost Boys going up against something like
Evil Dead,
fucking Cars or something, then go grand, But leave it on. I promise we'll probably end up doing it.
Yes. Cars?
Yeah.
Hoo-ha.
Yeah.